I told you there was a storm coming. Everybody, so that was today. The storm came. 2 days ago I was out and could have almost been in shorts weather, and now the big storm came and it actually lived up to its hype. We got over 15 inches of snow last 2 days, so good heavy snow, real heavy actually. And a lot of times people ask me, you know, how do you run through the winter when it's so cold and so snowy? And I said, that's the easy part. Sometimes spring becomes the more challenging part because it gets slushy. It's kind of like most people's winter, but just slushy. So today, I didn't want to battle it. I wanted to get some leg turnover. Let's see, Friday, today's Sunday, Friday, I did hill repeats and took Saturday as a recovery day. And today I jumped on a treadmill, cranked the heat in the gym, and wanted to sweat. And did 4-minute repeats just at threshold with about, I think it was at 2% grade. So a little bit of resistance, not much. I wanted to have good leg turnover and really kind of opposite of doing the hills on Friday 2 days ago. I wanted to do something a little flatter, faster for the legs, get some good turnover. So good cardio workout. So anyways, before I get into what we're talking about, as always, shoes today. I throw on my treadmill shoes. These are an old pair of Pearl Izumis. And Pearl Izumis don't even make running shoes anymore. This was their Project EM shoes. Great shoes, super flexible. They're so old. You can see the wear on them, but I keep them now. I keep them mainly for treadmill workouts in the spring because I just love them so much. They're basically just a nice racing flat, and probably zero drop, but nothing to them. Real flexible. I just love them on the treadmill, but they'll get pretty beat up outside, so I keep them for inside. So they're probably, I don't know, almost 10 years old and still going well. So anyways, we're going to talk about tight calves today, maybe painful calves today, and why that could be happening for you. All right, so this is kind of in response to a lot of questions I get, mainly from my website. If you're not familiar with my website, we've got over 14,000 members, running tribe over there from all over the world, a lot of activity, a lot of stuff going on there. So be sure to check it out. But I wanted to kind of get a lot of questions about calves. Why are my calves so tight or so sore? And we're going to kind of dive into some maybe tips, some troubleshooting tips that you can look at to see if this can help you, if that's the case for you. But first I wanted to talk mainly about if you are changing form from maybe you're a heel striker to a forefoot striker, or maybe you're changing shoes from more of a built-up shoe to more of a minimal shoe for some of your runs. You're going to experience some calf soreness as that transition takes hold. Okay, so I'm not necessarily going to get into that. All I want to say with that is just expect some soreness, and through time, as your body develops muscle memory of the form and the shoes, that should really subside and get better and better. I would just say, start conservative and ease into it and listen to your body. Best time to do that is maybe in the off season. So when you can be a little bit more patient with changing form or shoes. So just take that into consideration. But what I want to dive into is maybe why calves are continuing to be sore or tight. Again, I got a specific question about, hey, why are my calves are just tight all the time and sore all the time? Nothing I seem to do really helps. So we're going to dive into that a little bit and give you a couple tips to see if this will help. Let's first talk about forefoot running. If you did change your form, or hey, maybe you've always been a forefoot runner, there's sometimes a misconception out there that you're running on your toes. And that's not the case. It's a subtle forefoot to heel strike. And I'm going to step back, and again, that subtle forefoot to heel. We're not staying up and running on our toes. And some people that bash this type of running always say, you can't run up on your toes. Well, you can't run up here, okay? And that, if you're allowing your heel to stay off the ground while you run, that could be why your calves are so tight. Grab my ball here. So first you want to look at, is that the case for you? Are you running on your forefoot and maybe keeping your heels elevated off the ground and not allowing your heels to tap and touch secondly as you run? Okay, because that, if you're keeping your heels elevated and your calves are not strong enough, that's a lot of stress for the calves, and it's going to allow for a lot of soreness and tightness long term. Okay, so practice, this is going to kind of take some just awareness when you go out and run. Just see if this is happening to you, and just part of allowing the heel to land is allowing your feet to relax. Okay, so land on your forefoot and then let the heel hit. We're not staying off the heel. The second thing that might be happening if your calves are always sore and tight is that you might be allowing your knee to go forward of your toe. And what I mean by that is when we strike the ground, is that knee flexing forward and going past your toe? Okay, you can see if I'm running and I'm allowing that knee to go forward, that puts a tremendous amount of stress on that calf area, okay, and the shin. But this is a big problem, okay, and there could be a variety of reasons for that, and we're going to dive into that. So again, I strike the ground and I'm allowing that knee to go forward, and I'm in this position before I take off. Puts tremendous amount of stress on that calf versus landing and getting leg extension and to push off, and that leg going straight into the ground. I've got a lot of videos on, and I'll attach one to the end of this one that talks about providing that force into the ground. So let's talk about that for a minute. If this is happening for you, one thing that could be happening is your cadence is too low. I've talked a lot about having high cadence. We want to aim for that, 88 to 90 strikes per minute, that kind of that golden standard. And if your cadence is too low, with a low cadence, that means we're just spending more time on one leg before we go to the other. So that's the lower cadence. And so what's happening is if you have low cadence, you're going to land, and due to the low cadence, now your body's moving forward. You're spending a lot of time on that leg. Therefore, the knee has to go forward before you go forward and go to the other leg. Okay? So that's why it's crucial to have high cadence. You strike the ground, drive into the ground, and get off of it. So again, low cadence, you strike, now you're spending a lot of time, that knee has time to go forward because your body's still wanting to go forward, okay? And so now you're in no man's land here. All stress on everything goes here before then you go, okay? Just the opposite, we could have too high of a cadence. And that means that maybe you've heard me talk about, or other people talk about, how important it is to have high cadence. So now all you've done is focused on high cadence, and you're just running like this and focusing on lifting the leg and being choppy, which could put a lot of stress on the calves, versus having high cadence but focusing on now driving into the ground, okay? Again, force production is really important. You strike the ground, drive into the ground to propel yourself forward. But if you have super high cadence and you're just like this with no force into the ground, you're putting a lot of stress on that calf. Okay, and that brings me to the last point of maybe you just have no force production. Okay, maybe you're just landing and maybe you're leaning a little bit. Okay, and now some people teach you to lean, which I don't. Okay, you can see if we lean our body into running versus providing force into the ground to go forward and being upright, that lean, you can see how that lean can not only drive that knee forward that we talked about, but put a lot of pressure on and stress on that calf. Versus, again, landing, extending, driving force into the ground to go forward. Okay? So notice if you're leaning a little bit and now you're in this position with this leg. Okay? Force production, hills, a lot of things I've already talked about. Okay, so check those things out and see where you're at. Ask questions about it, and let's get those calves taken care of and see if we can really help with that. Okay, so all right, I'm looking out the window and it's snowing again. It's kind of an in-between rain and snow, but this might be a good week for the treadmill. I always like to change it up, but I think treadmill is very good for leg speed, a consistent speed of really dialing and setting it at one speed and keeping running consistently for a period of time. It's a very, very good speed endurance training for your legs and your cadence. Okay, so it's a great way to work on your cadence if low cadence is your issue maybe with your calves. So, all right. So again, this is kind of a different video. I want you to just kind of take this into your own running world and see where you might be kind of falling into one of these common mistakes, and then ask questions about it and we'll get it taken care of. All right. I'm out of here. All right. I lied. I'm back. One more. I forgot. Heel striking. Heel striking could be a major part of this. So let's talk about heel striking. Similar to what with all these, you're going to find that the end goal or the end result is the same. It's just different things are causing the end result. Okay, so with heel striking, you might be heel striking here, and the problem with heel striking is you can't go forward until you come all the way to here and go forward. Okay, so now you can see, especially if you have low cadence and a heel striker, if you strike the ground with your heel, now you come forward. Okay, the tendency for that knee to go forward first versus hip first is very, very much likely outcome. Okay, you can see that. So again, now slow cadence, that knee starting to go forward, and then you push off. So you might still have a good force production, but the mistake has already happened with that knee. So again, just test this out for you and kind of see where you're at with it. All right, now I'm out of here. See ya.